See if it's gonna do it on both. What's up, Melanated family? How is everybody doing? This is your brother Harrison. This is the Melanated Convo. Back for another interesting video, another interesting topic. Feel me? Another thriller. How's everybody doing today? This is This is Saturday evening. I'm here in California. The weather is beautiful. How's everybody doing? So, something I want to touch on. I was reading an article and I was like, you know what? This could be a good lesson or a good discussion for some of my younger melanated folks who may not know the origins of certain things, or just anybody in general, right? First things first, though. First things first. If anybody's following me that follows me on Facebook, my account was hacked on Facebook. My account on Facebook, my personal account on Facebook, as well as my Instagram, my personal Instagram page, were both hacked on Facebook. And and the dude who hacked it, the cold part is the dude who hacked it sent a message out to like 200 people asking for money, like asking can he borrow money from him or something like that. But look how he got me. Excuse me, family. And this is a testament to moving too fast sometimes. You know what I mean? You know how you be in a rush or your mind be somewhere else, but you're still doing a project or you're still engaging in something, even though your mind is elsewhere. You feel me? So I'm doing other things, going about my day. And one of my homeboys hit me and say, hey, can you do me a favor? And this is one of my homeboys who I've been knowing for damn near 30 years. I'm like, sure, without a question. I'm not even thinking what it could be. I'm thinking this is my homeboy, right? So you say, look, I got locked out of my Facebook page. I can use Messenger, but I got locked out of my Facebook page. I need you to help me log back in. So I'm going to send you like the login code. I'm going to need your email though. You feel me? First you ask for the email. Again, I'm not thinking this is my homeboy's Messenger account. I'm looking at the prior messages. Me and him have been speaking. So I'm like, whatever. Boom. Give me the information. He hit me back. Hey, so, I'm going to need that phone number as well. So I gave my phone number, not even thinking, right? Within like 5 minutes, my Facebook account, because my stupid ass, thinking this is my homeboy, I went through the full process with him on Facebook, gave him my email. They sent me a code, sent the code back to him, right? I'm fully participating in my hacking. You know what I mean? That's how I felt afterwards. Like, damn. I kind of walked him through it. You know what I mean? But my Facebook page has been hacked. So if anybody get any messages talking about can they borrow money from me or some shit, because people were calling me, letting me know, what the conversation was and what he was doing. You feel me? So whatever. The account's been hacked. Hopefully I'll get it back in a few days. If not, I start another one. You know what I mean? That account is pretty big for me just as far as the numbers and shit I do, but I can get that back in no time. You feel me? So shout out to that punk motherfucker because because he was doing something. The dude who hacked my Facebook account was doing something like calling certain people like on FaceTime. And a couple of my family members told me that he called on FaceTime and he forgot to like cover his face or something. So they seen him. And this was a brother. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, when I think hack, I'm thinking, no offense, but I'm thinking this Asian guy somewhere or some fucking nerd. This is one of my goddamn people. It's all good. Whatever. Hopefully they sent me through a process to get the Facebook page back. Hopefully I get it within a few days. If I don't, I can bounce back. It'll be good. You feel me? So something I want to talk to the family about, especially our younger generation. We in American society, pimping culture has become really popular for several different reasons, right? Like the whether it be in hip hop, whether it be a lot of the young dudes, like if you know what I mean? I know a lot of young dudes who still dibble and dabble in in pimping and different things like that. So it still happens, and just to keep it real, it's always gonna happen, regardless of what type of legislations is put into play or what type of roadblocks are put into play. Prostitution is the oldest profession known to man. You feel me? So that's always gonna happen. But check it out. I wanted to give the family a quick rundown on the history of the black pimp. Like that I seen this article and I was like, you know what? That seems pretty interesting to me because we see it in the rap videos. We see the Don Magic Wands and the pimps that pop culture, ex pimps that pop culture introduced us to, and hip hop ushered that in even more so. So I want to talk a little bit with the family about the history of the black pimp in America, just so we can get perspective. And just for the record, I don't agree with pimping and pandering at all. Simply because, at this point in my life, I have granddaughters, a lot of females around me. Taking advantage of women in a particular way, I don't agree with. You see what I'm saying? We're going to get into a little bit of it, though. So this is a brief history of this is a brief history of pimping in America as it relates to a black man. The women selling their body has been around forever, but just as far as our involvement in American culture, I'm going to go over that real quick, right? So, of course, like a lot of the incidents and mishaps that I speak about regarding black culture and black life, the root of this problem as well, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this video. The root of this problem as well is white supremacy. And I'll explain to you how. So, like most things, the black man and woman in America being involved in actual pimping and pandering, where a woman is agreeing to give her body for money. This started after slavery. So as we all are aware by this point, when black women were enslaved, they were raped. Like that's pretty commonplace at this point. Everybody knows that. So black women, when they were enslaved, they got raped, they got beat, regardless of the age. I was reading some book, it's early as like 10 years old, maybe even a little bit earlier. You know what I mean? So our women, as well as we did, caught hell during antebellum slavery, right? So what happened once we were free, because keep in mind, family, when melanated Americans were free, quote unquote, and not required to be slaves anymore, they weren't really given any resources. They weren't given any startup money. They weren't given anything, coupled with the fact that they had been through this tumultuous time period where they couldn't read, write, or do anything for themselves. Then they were just released into the United States, or whatever it was called at that time. You feel me? But the point is, they weren't mentally, financially equipped to handle being on their own and like commingling in the American populace, being this new free person who don't feel free. A lot of racism still in the air, a lot of tension still in the air. So you can only imagine being in that position, right? So a lot of the women at that time, not a lot, but some of the women at that time, in order to make ends meet, said, you know what? While I was a slave, I got raped. So I can offer this white man who still lust after my black body like they always have. I can use his lustful intentions to my advantage, and I can do the same thing we were doing when he was raping me, but now I'll get paid for it. You see what I'm saying? So this is pretty basic on how the black man and woman got involved in pimping in America. So the black woman was an ex-slave, needed income, didn't feel bad doing something that she had become familiar with already, unfortunately. You see what I'm saying? So, boom. So we go there, and then at that point, she began to sell her body, get her money however she could, mostly white men or all white men at this point. But a new element started to creep in, where now we have men who are rough. We have men who were looking to rob the females. We have men who were looking to rape the females. So the masculine energy of the men that were the customers became too much. So now you need protection. So this is how the whole pimp and hope thing began to formulate, because she just needed protection from, men who were a little bit too unruly, right? Or too unruly. And black men at this time, what it did accomplish to a degree is just the self-esteem that it gave a black man to create a economy outside of the white power structure, because at this point they're just released. Of course, there isn't jobs that are readily available. How are you going to survive? So pimping Like for a black man, talking specifically about the black man at this point, pimping for the black man was a sense of pride. Like it was, I'm getting over on whitey almost. Like I'm rebelling against the system that's been beating my ass since I can remember. You see what I'm saying? So it was a sense of rebellion, a sense of I could be successful without you, basically. You feel me? And also keeping in mind that at this time, like the early 1900s, the pimping in or prostitution, that sex trafficking, like whatever you want to call it, it created a booming economy for the black people. Like for people on the underground, to operate a ring where sex is being provided, you need alcohol, you need a doorman, you need security, so it actually at this time provided a whole bunch of jobs as well. Keep it in mind, it's providing jobs for black folks who are just being freed, can't read, some can't write, like they're in a horrific position already. So certain things like this become enticing. So it created an underground economy, right? Now also, and this is something I want to mention, just I was looking it up and I was aware of it, but thought it was pertinent as well, right? So what also began to happen, so we have around this time, early 1900s, where pimping is a thing. This is the underground thing, white people, black people. I mean, sex will sell. We have to acknowledge that, right? But of course, the United States always attempts to create legislation and laws to hinder particular things, right? So in 1910, something I want to mention to you guys. In 1910, the United States created the Mann Act. Now, the Mann Act, give me one moment here. I had it pulled up, family. I want to tell y'all, or I want y'all to be aware of what this was exactly. Hold on one second here. So the Mann Act, basically, just to paraphrase, it became a crime to take a white woman across state lines, basically. If you took an underage white woman, or think just a white woman in general, actually, don't quote me on that. If you took a white woman across state lines, you could be jailed for it. This law became popular when Jack Johnson, I'm not too sure if many of you are familiar with the infamous boxer, early 1900s, Jack Johnson, first black heavyweight in the United States. Very impactful brother. But Jack Johnson was known for knocking out white men. Like he had a hell of a record. He was pretty arrogant. You feel me? He held his head up high, and he liked white women. So I mean, that's a recipe for disaster when we're talking about white supremacy. When we're talking about how the power structure views black men, especially then. You see what I'm saying? So he was kind of on their radar already, strictly because how he moved. So they tried to hit the brother with the Mann Act, saying that he took a white woman across state lines. Turns out this is a white woman he was going to marry. This is a woman who didn't snitch on him. Like she didn't give the authorities any information. So he was able to get off. They tried it with another woman. I think eventually they were able to make it stick, and he got like a year and a day in jail. But keep that in mind, family. So this is the early 1900s. We having a black boxer who is dominant. Who does this sound like? This is a black boxer who was dominant, didn't lose much, pissed off white folks, lived life the way he wanted to live, talked a lot of shit. Who does that remind you of? You know what I mean? It's weird how they found a way to put this man in jail. They found a way to put Muhammad Ali in jail. They found a way to put Floyd Mayweather in jail. They found a way to put Mike Tyson in jail. Now, ain't nobody gonna tell me that's a goddamn coincidence. Don't mean to go off on a tangent, but ain't nobody gonna tell me that's a coincidence that these great unapologetic fighters, let's keep in mind what they have in common now. These unapologetic fighters getting the law sicked on them because they can't be beat in their respective sport. See, so you can't beat them in a ring. That's one thing black boxers loved back in the day. Like, it could be all the racism they want to throw at me outside of the ring. Inside of this ring, can't nobody save your ass. You see what I'm saying? So, in any case, Jack Johnson was a victim of the Mann Act, designed to punish, because in the 1900s, this law punished black men a lot. bringing white women across state lines. So it was kind of a law that was created specifically for that. Who else was affected by that law? Give me one moment here. Chuck Berry was also affected by that law. So in the early 1900s, this law was weaponized against black men who chose to have sexual encounters with white women. You feel me? I just wanted to point that out. That's interesting to me. I'm a huge fan of Jack Johnson and just pictures and reading about him of what he stood for. I appreciated that, brother. But we need to be aware of how systematic attacks on us have been a thing, and it's just like history repeating itself. So I'm always happy to present information like this to the family because we need to understand. You feel me? Now, back to it. When we look at, so from that point, we're looking at early 1900s, we get involved in the pimping industry. We get involved in prostitution based on the fact that we're in a docile situation, no resources. Some of us can't read, can't write. And we got this racist system on our back. Like this economy, this underground economy created a sense of pride amongst black people who were used to getting shit on by the powers that be. You know what I mean? So it put pimping and prostitution in a different light for our community. Then when we have like the next big, what affected our culture the most as far as pimping and pandering is concerned, involving black people. So I wanted to give you the history on how we got involved in general, right? And then the 70s was really pivotal as well. The 60s and the 70s was really pivotal as well, because this is when we have the blaxploitation movies, and we being black folks who, this is the 60s, 70s, civil rights era just ended, still a lot of tension, still a lot of racism. We were looking for things to make us feel better about ourselves. The blaxploitation movies was kicking white men's asses, so it felt good. So it brought pride. The pimps in these movies in the early 60s, early 70s as well, the pimps in these movies was even smoother. They not only kicked whitey ass, but they were smooth about it. They had a fine chick with it, you know what I mean? So these are all factors that contributed to how we viewed this profession just from a black perspective, right? And then something I didn't know, but makes a lot of sense to me, when we look at how pimps dressed back then, the flashy style of dressing, right? After the Civil Rights Bill in 1964, we as black folks, melanated folks, we were allowed to do more things at that point. You feel me? So we were allowed to, gotta charge this up. We were allowed to shop at different places. We had different access. We had more reach. Our reach was a little bit longer. So now we can get the fly gear. Now we can get the clothes that you see a lot of the pimps actually end up wearing. You see what I'm saying? Hold on one second, family. And that's important because that style of dress. Hold on one second, family. Hold on one second, family. I'll just wait. It's important because that style of dress, it flashy, confident, nice things, nice vehicle. Understand the position black folks is in it at this time, family. This is the 70s. This is the 60s. We're still trying to figure it out. We're still living in squalor, and the ghettos are being created for us. There's a lot of shit taking place at this time, but we looked up to these individuals because they seem to be getting over on the system. They seem to be fighting white supremacy in a cool ass way. This is like the basis of it. You see what I'm saying? So when you see a lot of those blaxploitation movies, the reason why a lot of the brothers around that time favored these movies so much, because it meant a lot. Like this was the only cinema we had, to my understanding, around this same time. Like the reason why all of the blaxploitation movies were in urban movie theaters, well, white flight had just took place once we were released, or basically not slaves anymore, and was able to travel, and there was the Great Migration. We went different places. When that happened, white flight took place as well. So white people would be in a particular area. We come, they go even further out, right? So this kind of happened as well with the urban area, and this left a movie theater This left movie theaters that was destitute, right? So these movie theaters had to make money. So what they did in the 70s in all of these urban communities that was going through white flight, what they did in the 70s is they put cheap movies in the movie theaters. Cheap movies at that time, like the budget was cheap and still a bit entertaining, was blaxploitation movies and karate movies. That's why you have so many brothers enamored by the karate movement and into kung fu and shit like this in the 70s and early 80s, because our movie theaters were inundated with these type of movies, right? So we have a lot of brothers. So this is inspiring culture, right? This is inspiring a next generation of Black people. Some young Black men thinking this is an option, but if nothing, it's someone who looks like you, who's successful, right? Looking into why they got the money and all of that. That's a moral thing, and that's something we can talk about. But just coming from a people who are destitute, you looking at anybody who look like you and thinking, okay, I can be that. You see what I'm saying? And something else I was thinking about too, and this is a tough reality. But before reading a lot of the information I did to do this story, I was thinking, not only do young men and men in general have a fascination with a pimp because of how he dresses, because of how he talks, because of the smooth nature of his being, right? But I was thinking also it's because of what he can get a woman to do, like what he can verbally get a woman to agree to. A lot of men may think, wow, that shit is impressive. That's game right there. And I was a person for the most part who thought like that, right? Excuse me, family. Then I was thinking, what we need to realize too, like a young man today, we have in 2022, we still have young men in our community who pimp, who will, as they put it, send a young girl to get money for them. This trade, like this will be going around forever. Like I'm of course I want to tell some of my young brothers, pick a different way to get your money, like work, start a business, whatever, right? But you know what? I think the bigger focus needs to be on the fathers of the young women, because most of the young women who end up being prostitutes come from some type of traumatic background, traumatic upbringing, molested. Something went on in their childhood to put them in the state of mind where they feel this is okay. So are we looking at a man who has a lot of game, or are we looking at a man who's taking advantage of someone who may be at a weakened state in their life? That's some deep shit right there. You feel me? Because for the large part of my life, I'm thinking, no, a pimp just got game to make a woman sell her body for you. And a lot of men have a difficult time just getting a woman to go to dinner. You feel me? Getting a woman to cook for him. But for a man to actually get a woman to sell her body and bring you the money, it seems miraculous to a degree, right? When you're young and you're thinking about it, like, damn, I can't get a woman to go on a date. She don't want to do nothing freaky. Shit. How the hell he get her to do all that with somebody else and bring the bread? So I had to think closely, like, I'm sure a very large percentage of the young women who participate in the sex trade, like in America, who choose to participate, not like a sex trafficking situation where your women are kidnapped and all that. I mean, a young woman who's choosing to, just based on what she hears from a man or based on what she feels she needs. I think a lot of these women are come from traumatic environments. You see, so fathers, this is important. Like, we need to, I don't have girls, I have granddaughters now, but we all need to realize as we become men, how would you feel if a man was pimping your daughter or your granddaughter? What would you be willing to do at that point if you found out some shit like that? But really, what was your kid going through to put themselves in a state of mind that they felt they needed to do that? Like, that's something that can't be remiss. It can't just be, yeah, these young women some of them are being taken advantage of. Some of them are choosing to do this for money, right? That's a thing too. But all in all, I think good parenting can prevent a lot of that. Of course, you're going to have outliers kids who choose to do whatever they want to do, right? But for the most part, I think good parenting and structure can keep your little girl off the pole. It can also keep your little girl from being a goddamn prostitute, from being a little girl out here where these dudes just running her. from here to there. And again, I would prefer if my young men didn't partake in that trade, right? But if there's no women to do it to, if there's no women to prostitute, then how they gonna get their money? You see what I'm saying? Because some of the young men, again, we still melanated in America. Some of the young men come from environments where no resources. See, I don't like that option for you, like to mistreat another person like that. And this is me being older, thinking of it in this manner, right? You see what I'm saying? But if the father stepped up and created a wall around their babies, if we stop creating children in horrible circumstances, this is real. White, black, you pick the race of people. There's a section of their population who is very irresponsible sexually. You know what I mean? Like, that's just some real shit. So that's a part of everything. That's a part of, I was talking weeks ago about all the violence in Sacramento, where I'm from, not all the violence, but shootings that have taken place in my city. And we talk about the parents of these young black men who are choosing to kill each other. Well, parenting and structured discipline, I talk about these things a lot. This is important. Even with a young girl who may be out there selling her body, how did she get there, right? I'm sure you can track that back to some type of traumatic experience. And sometimes it was because someone wasn't there to protect her. See? So it's a little deeper than that. You see what I'm saying? So I was thinking, damn, a pimp is a cold motherfucker, right? But I'm like, yeah, your mouthpiece is cold, but you're taking advantage of a particular type of woman. So I don't know what that makes you. You know what I mean? I'm older. I got to be honest with myself. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to give the family a quick history of how the black man became involved in pimping in this country. And like, when we see, at times we'll see like young girls missing, right? In my opinion, when you see a lot of these young girls missing, a lot of times they may be with a young dude who then convinced her to sell her body. You see what I'm saying? So yes, everybody needs to, every time I come to y'all with a topic or a situation about something, everybody involved in the situation needs to be accountable. Yes, but if we're talking about young girls, how many young girls who had a stable home, had a down ass father who was involved in her life from point A to point Z, end up selling her body for money? Like, let's keep it real. Like, when I think about, I'm about to be 42 years old. When I think about growing up, being a teenager, being a young man out here in these streets, I didn't know a lot of women that was hoes. Like, I didn't know a lot of women who we went to college together, but she hoeing too. Not directly. You know what I mean? Let me clear that up a little bit. But the thing is, I don't think a lot of women is making that decision. I think it's women that come from traumatic backgrounds and have different types of turmoil in their life they've had to deal with. So that kind of needs to be focused on, in my opinion. The fact that even if we got our young black girls off the street and they wasn't selling pussy no more, somebody would be. Like, that profession will never end as long as we're living in existence. So we need to kind of get over that. Like, human trafficking, kidnapping a young girl and making her sell her body, this is wrong. Like, against your will, I'm not for that when it comes to anything. You feel me? But if we talking what we see in America, when we talking a man being horny and wanting to buy sex, not have to go through the hassle of any of the courting and just buy sex, that'll never end in America. So legalize it, like you did weed, like you do cigarettes, all the shit that you get paid off of. Figure out a way to make money off this shit quick, America. And make that shit legal for everybody. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, I wanted to talk about this because some of my young black men may not know. Like, pimping has been popularized in American culture, like through Don Magic Juan, through all the hip hop songs that has referenced pimping. Now pimping it's a slang term that can be used just to mean I'm doing my thing. Like, I'm sharp. I'm not necessarily putting a woman on the track. So the term itself has been popularized and it's been adopted by pop culture, right? So a lot of our young people understand that, and they'll see a Don Magic Wand and how we dress and all these different things, and the popular things that have been put in front of us. But it's important to know, for me, the history of everything is always extremely important, right? And what I'm trying to get the family to realize, most, if not all, of the initial issues that we have being melanated people in America started from white supremacy. If not all, most, you can link it to our traumatic beginnings in this goddamn country. You see what I'm saying? So tell your kids that. Like, let's contextualize all of the shit our kids like. I loved hip hop growing up. My son loves hip hop. I'm never going to deprive my kids or my son of enjoying all parts of what's considered Black culture. And that could be hip hop. That can be what they talk about in the music. That could be all of these things. I'm going to break it down to him, but I'm going to make sure that he's aware of these things myself. Like, I'm going to make sure that the words he walking around saying, the people he idolized that are Black, we need to give the history of how someone got that way. Like the history of why something is the root of the problem. Everybody always talks about what they see, like the actual problem in their mind they're looking at. Well, if you really want to solve an issue, if you really want to get down to an issue, figure out a solution, troubleshoot, if you will, you got to go to the root of the problem. You feel me? So pimping, like a lot of things in this country, was something we felt we had to do for economic purposes. And it was a sense of pride because we were so undertaken at that time. We were so deprived of resources. Creating an underbelly, if you will, a underground economy, if you will, was kind of gratifying to be able to do this under the nose of the white supremacists. You feel me? So make sure your kids understand the root of a lot of these things. This is your brother Harrison, the Melanated Convo. Hey, do me a favor, man. So again, if you're watching this, my Facebook page has been hacked. My personal Facebook page has been hacked. If somebody saying they me hit you up talking about let them borrow $200, you better not get them no goddamn. They hacked my page. Hopefully I get it back in a few days. If not, I create a new one and do the same thing. It ain't gonna stop nothing. You feel me? But if you get a message from me asking for money, I don't ask for money, family. Just so you know. And I definitely wouldn't hit you on Messenger. And I don't know you that well. You know what I mean? Because everybody who this guy contacted that know me personally, or have my number rather, they contacted me. Said, hey, you don't hear asking for money. It seemed weird. You know what I mean? And I'm a little disappointed that it was a brother. Once the dude who hacked my account FaceTime called somebody, one of my cousins, and he forgot to cover his face, and it was a brother. So I'm a little disappointed. Punk ass nigga go take my shit. Just get my shit back. If you just took my Facebook to ask motherfuckers for money, you could have just asked me for $100. Do you know that? If you needed some money, you could have just buckled down and damn near called somebody out the blue or FaceTime somebody, hit somebody in the messenger, just like bums do. They be on the corner getting money. You know what I mean? You want to scheme and be a damn scoundrel for yours. I can't stand that shit. You know what I mean? You ain't nothing good gonna come your way, player. Like purposely getting over on people. You see what I'm saying? So I'll get my account back. Everything will be all good. If you haven't done so yet, go to themelanatedconvo.com. Go to the Melanated Convo on Instagram, not Facebook right now because I was stolen from. Make sure you watch the latest interview with Dwight Taylor Sr. Dwight Taylor Sr., the latest interview on my YouTube account. That's the Melanated Convo on YouTube. Dwight Taylor Sr., if you're a adult who has like problems in your relationship with communication with your kids, like asking the proper questions, approaching things correctly, this brother has a lot of insight on how to communicate correctly. So we had an hour-long conversation about communication, about family history. Man, we was going in. So that's definitely worth your time. Go to the Melanated Convo on YouTube if you like listening to content better. You can go to one of the digital platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere podcasts are played, you can find this show. This has been your brother Harrison. This is the Melanated Convo.